Good afternoon. It's May 8th in the afternoon. I'm starting at Eagle Feather. Again, if you've seen my first two videos, or if you looked at them at all, you know my concern is the changing of the topography or landscaping environment that has been taking place. And I've just been trying to find out who even knows what's going on relating to the landscaping. About a year ago, year and a couple months, I started attending the meetings and saying, what is going on here? And here we see a very large prickly pear, and we see the jumping cactus and the prickly pear here. And at the recent board meeting, I elected to pass out the CC&R saying that the landscape was supposed to be maintained in the proper scheme, which was the original scheme. And I attended one meeting where the representative from the management company told the landscape committee they could pretty much do anything. They didn't need to go through the CC&Rs to make amendments. And that, I believe, is where all this started. This turning the water off, killing the green plants off along the walls, replacing them with cactus. There's another one of the cholla cactus that is a problem cactus. And especially, again, I'm selfish maybe, the Sonoran Hills area, which is only 68 production home houses. But we've got more cactus there than you're seeing here as I walk down here. And there's a lot of these view fences along this area going down. But I don't know, it's like we're being lied to by omission. In other words, if we don't tell them, the production home people, that we have an issue, then we'll do what we want, and we'll cut the trees down. We've had many trees cut down. They've actually cut down hundreds of trees in this area that I'm walking down. But you can see here, they've got some bare ground. They've got some space between the bushes and the sidewalk. They've got an area here where they have space between the sidewalk. If you look at the earlier video, they don't have any space at all, and these cactus that have barbs on them are right up against the sidewalk. Whereas this area doesn't show that. And that was one of my concerns all along. We did have some discussion at that meeting about finances. And the one thing I did after some research, I looked at the reserve fund summary, and it showed entries for irrigation replacement. And there was $0 allocated there. Again, if you go into the custom areas, and I'm going to be doing some of that, walking into the custom areas to verify that their landscape is as it was when it was designed. It's not loaded up with prickly pear and cactus of that sort. You notice here, there's bushes, not cactus, all along this sidewalk area. In fact, we don't see any, so far, any jumping cactus at all. So, as I said in one of my notes to the board, and that is that it's like we're a two-tier Sendas now. In other words, certain areas are getting the massage, these nice bushes here against the boundary wall. And that's what we had in Sendas. Now here's some prickly pear, or some jumping cactus here, but you'll notice it's 8 feet from the sidewalk. I mean, there's still a chance that these barbs will blow over and get on your children or on your pets and stuff, but less of a chance than you saw in the earlier videos. And here's some nice bushes. So evidently irrigation is here, because these bushes here wouldn't survive without irrigation. Which again leads me to this two-tiered Sendas. So the property values here, with the way it looks, it's very clean. There's some cactus, but not many, as you're seeing here. Again, the cul-de-sacs in Sonoran Hills were turned off, and I know cul-de-sacs in other production communities were turned off, the water, and therefore they were allowed to die. And then ProQual is coming in, that's the landscaping company, and planting mature cactus. I mean, cactus, some of these jumping cactus are 6-8 feet high along the sidewalks and other areas that I've walked down. And again, these type of cactus, according to because the management company keeps saying they're going to follow the upland desert standards. Well, I just sent in a note to them. I went over to the city of Mesa, and we found out that if you're going to have cactus of any type with these burrs on it, there's supposed to be a 7-foot buffer area. And the buffer area is supposed to contain plants like this. They got a list of plants that should buffer those barbs from blowing onto the sidewalk. So even if you as residents are going to say, okay, we don't care, Bob, you know, make it a desert community. We don't care that the custom homes have that beautiful green stuff compared to us. You know, I don't know where you're at, but I'm trying to just make people aware of what you're getting for the $5 million. What did I write down here? I wrote down that the production homes put in $4.5 million in assessments, and the custom homes put $964,000 in. So it just seems that the money is being directed to make the custom areas look custom and our areas look desert. But this area here, we have some custom home projects down here, and if we look at the other side of the street, it's the same thing. Beautiful landscaping. And again, I don't know, is it personal? Is somebody at ProQual saying, well, Bob complains about us, so we'll fix him. We'll go down to Sonoran Hills and we'll inundate that with jumping cactus and other Troya cactus, and we'll put prickly pear cactus on a 1-foot strip on the left-hand side of the sidewalk. We'll inundate the area of the median with cactus, and there's rules about that from the upland standards. So there's money in the reserve fund that could be directed not to the rebuilding of the Trailhead Club, to make a club out of it for the people who can afford to go to it, or spend some money on the overall landscaping. The president and I had a little to do at the meeting. He didn't want me passing out the CC&Rs. He says that belongs in landscape. My intent was to make the board aware that the CC&Rs and the maintenance policy should be in place. In other words, they should be repairing the irrigation lines, etc., in their process. What else do I got here? Yeah, I mentioned CC&Rs. Okay. The landscaping committee, the management team are making the call on what's going to receive the monies. And at the last landscape meeting, the leader of the meeting, I asked a specific question are we an upland desert community? And of course, a couple hands went up, and I says, we really are not. And they read a thing from the vision they had, and it said that Jeff Blanford was building property up in the upland desert area. Key word. It did not say he would follow in the upward desert community. Well, why? Because the upland desert community resolution, whatever you want to call it, was not incorporated until 2006. By that time, Sendas had already completed, I'm going to have to say, most production homes. So it was done. The landscaping was in, the bushes were in, the maintenance policy for those bushes was in, everything was there. There was no such thing as an upland desert community standards, if you want to call it that. I think that's the words they use when I picked it up. But even if the management team, who with the board and with the landscape committee, I contend has been guiding them on what they can do. Look at these nice bushes along the boundary wall. So they've given them the impression, and that to me, I'm not satisfied with, that they could do anything they wanted. And they didn't have to worry about having a resolution or an amendment change. Okay, so again, let me see if I can find the exact words, because I don't want to be misquoted. Yeah, page 9, 18. Thorny plants, cactus, and ocotillo shall have a minimum of 3 buffer shrubs in front of such plants as the prickly pear, the jumping cactus, cholla, etc. So there's, in the Sonoran Hills area and all down Eagle Crest, I should just point out Sonoran Hills, if you come down Eagle Crest from where the Trailhead Club is, they've got those cactus right up against the sidewalk. Because they know, and anybody who's been here as long as I have knows, you don't put those cactus where people are walking. But notice this. Look at all the bushes. There ain't no prickly pear. There ain't no jumping cactus. And here's a cholla that's out of the specifications for the cactus. There's no buffer plants to prevent people from getting stung by that. The other one says, the 6 of 18, step 7, thorny plants, cactus, ocotillo, must maintain setback of 7 feet from the sidewalks or vehicle traffic. There's no 7 feet here between this cholla and the sidewalk and the street, the bike riders. So as bike riders come down here, there's a chance that they'll pick up those burrs, and they're not going to be happy. And I said before that there's people in Sonoran Hills. That's the people I deal with. I live in that neighborhood. I walk door to door. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes they just look at the videos, which is okay. But there's no 7 feet here. And that's the one that the management team said, no, we're in the upward desert standards. Well, if you are, read the rules. 7 feet. Now here's an example of a jumping cactus, and I'm guessing that's probably 7 feet, but there are no buffer plants between the sidewalk and that cactus. The buffer plants are there to prevent those barbs from hitting the sidewalk, because they'll get caught on the plants. That's why they're there, or supposed to be there. So if you go and look up desert upland community standards, you will find what I'm finding. And they've got these prickly pears all over the place now. And these prickly pears will take over. Look at how big this one is. They will take over the area, literally. So do not be fooled. Oh, shoot. What happened here? Well, something happened. I don't have to check my video when I get up. But you can see here this prickly pear, how huge it is. And it is just overwhelming. And it'll come to the sidewalk here. There'll be no 7-foot. This happens to be gray hawk. I don't know if that's a production or another community. And I have no objections to those type of cactus desert bushes. There's no spines on them and stuff that's going to hurt anybody. And look at that beautiful bush behind it. So again, I'm just kind of walking down this street here. Look across the street, how beautiful that sidewalk area is. Those people can walk down, and that's the Foothills Trail is there, without getting barbs stuck on them. So that's the reason I'm making these videos, to see if, hey, if the majority of people, there's 2,800 or so production homes, if you say, who cares, you know, then I'll live with it. But I don't believe you know about it. I believe there's been too many things that say, we're not going to tell them what we're going to do, and we'll just do it. And if somebody makes a noise, we'll address it. Well, I'm making a noise. And of course, I was just recently told by the board that they know about my noise. My problem is, does everybody in this community know what's happening, or did they move here from somewhere else and they don't notice what's going on? The board management. Yeah, that's just to reiterate that the management is saying we're Desert Uplands community. But I don't know, for my take on it, $4.5 million, we should have the same view, the same beautiful landscaping that the custom homes have. And it's not because I begrudge any of the custom homes anything. Recently, over the last year, I've had people on the landscape committee say they live in a house, they live in a $1.6 million house, and their entryway should show that. Well, all entryways should show that this is a very nice community to live in. Let me see if there's anything else. Again, I addressed the fact that this community was built before those standards were incorporated. So I think I got all my points done. Short video, I'll post it. And I got to take a look at it because I'm getting some weird things with my phone. But there's an example of a median strip with some trees in it. There are some cactus, and look at that prickly pear over there. On a funny note, the management team said, Bob, those prickly pears bear fruit, so people can harvest the fruit. Well, that's contrary to the CCs and ours too, because it says nobody in the community is supposed to do anything with the common areas. So I don't know how many of you, and maybe I got thousands of you out there that want to come out and harvest this fruit and do the process. If you go online, you can see what it takes.